Hi everybody, Dan Illman here with the DRF race of the day for Sunday, June the 19th. It's race number 11 at Anita, the Grade 3 American Stakes. We're going a mile on the turf. $100,000 is the purse. Let's take a look at this field. Remember, you can view free formulator past performances for this race on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Take a peek, handicap along with me, and then bet this card. Mandatory payout in the Pick 6 at Anita on Sunday with your DRF Bets account. Scan the QR code for Race of the Day access on your mobile device. Wide open race, I think. It's a very good betting race. You've got a couple of old-timers in here like Majestic Eagle, who is a very solid horse, but the key to this race is Tripoli, isn't he? A horse that won the Pacific Classic last year on dirt, seemed to be getting very good on the main track, has back form on the turf, but we're going to see him for the first time since the Breeders' Cup Classic, and he had a pretty severe injury last year, I believe, that required surgery. So maybe this race is a comeback for Tripoli, and maybe he gets bet a little bit based on those gaudy class lines. We'll throw up the Timeform US pace projector. Timeform US believes that this is a blue bar scenario favoring horses on or near the early lead. That gives Kentucky Pharaoh a big advantage because Kentucky Pharaoh is a speed horse on his best day, and he went very quickly in the early stages of his most recent start. His first race off a lengthy layoff at Pimlico. This horse is a stakes winner at a mile. He has had his share of issues throughout his career, but he is fast, and maybe getting out to Southern California with a lonely lead at a price he might be worth considering. Let's talk a little bit about Richard Mandela's number one in here. That's Ecrivain. This is a horse who was a Group 3 winner going a mile in France. The competition over there is very, very good. Mandela's run him twice now in Southern California. One start on turf where he ran a good third behind Vanzi, considering it was his first race off a lengthy layoff. And then last time out in the San Francisco Mile where they put blinkers on, and he had a terrible post position. Post 14, he ended up wide. I wished he did a little bit more running in that race, but I am willing to give him a little bit of a mulligan. He should show better form in his third start of the cycle, and breaking from the inside post, there's a chance he can get closer to the pace and work out a slightly better trip. He's somewhat dirtied up on form. The number two is Hong Kong Harry, another horse that began his career in Europe. Didn't run in the kind of classy races that Ecrivain did, but Hong Kong Harry has come to North America and has run very well both times for Phil D'Amato. Let's watch the last race. Mile and an eighth, second level allowance. This horse showed good tactical speed from the start, sat right off the leaders, and I like the way he inhaled the leader at the 8th pole and goes on to win comfortably with a 91 Beyer speed figure. He is now 6 for 9 in his career. I believe he has some upside potential, and that race was flattered when the runner-up came back to win his second level allowance with a 93 Beyer speed figure. Hong Kong Harry was going to run in the Shoemaker Mile. He reportedly came down with a quarter crack. Supposedly things are going better right now for this horse. A cause for concern is the fact that this is Plan B, and the quarter crack is a bit of an injury that can be concerning. And B, if you can click on Phil D'Amato's name in your free formulator past performances, go down to past 1 year, lay 6 off, the number isn't very good. Maybe Hong Kong Harry's better than that. I do think he has some upside, and I think he's found a good group where he can sit a nice tactical sort of trip. Vanzi is the number 3, and I've always been a fan of this horse, especially when he was out east back in 2020. Won a race like the Jersey Derby, was a stakes winner in Canada over a synthetic surface as a 2-year-old, and maybe he's found himself in his last couple of races. Let's watch the aforementioned San Francisco Mile. He got a good pace to run at this day. He is firing at the end to finish second. The 7th place horse would come back to win the All-American on Tapeta at Golden Gate with a 98 Beyer speed figure. So 2 starts this form cycle, both Beyer speed figures in the low to mid 90s. He's now with Dan Blacker, and if you give this horse some pace, he's going to come with a run. He's shown some tactical speed in the past, especially in that race 2 starts back, where he just had a perfect pace-tracking, ground-saving trip. I do think he fires from off the pace as well. Joe Bravo likely will have Vanzi in a very good spot, and Timeform US believes he can work out a trip as well. The 4 is Greg Dar, and this is a horse that might be just looking for his spot, and maybe this is it from a distance perspective. He's been running in a couple of sprint races to begin his 2022 campaign for D'Amato. He hit the board a couple of times, then they tried tried to stretch him all the way out in the 1.25 Whittingham, and he ran okay. He was fourth that day. Master of Foxhounds, the runner-up, came back to run third in the Shoemaker Mile with a 97 Beyer speed figure. Maybe the mile, a middle distance, not a sprint, not a 1.25 race, is what Greg Daw wants. He's paired up 92 Beyers in his last two races. It's not that far off the leading contenders in this race. Restrained Vengeance has earned over $1 million in his career. He's been managed brilliantly by his connections. I do wonder if at age 7 he's seen slightly better days. He really didn't do much in the Shoemaker Mile. They experimented with blinkers that day. The blinkers are coming right off. In the San Francisco Mile, 2 starts back, he didn't have the greatest trip. He was making up a little bit of late ground, which is understandable because the pace was so fast. I'm not sure the pace is going to be there for Restrained Vengeance. He's had a very cool career. I'd love to see him pop another big race, and he'll be a big price to be sure, but I want to take a wait-and-see approach. Kentucky Pharaoh expected to be on the lead. Let's watch Kentucky Pharaoh's most recent start, second-level allowance at Pimlico. This is his first start in about 10 months, and he blasted out to the early lead. He's clear in the stretch. He is going to get run down late, but he has every right to be tired considering it was his first race off the layoff. This horse was a promising 2-year-old. He was a promising early 3-year-old, and he's just had his share of issues and bad luck, to be honest with you, dropping a rider at the start in one race at Belmont, then just taking on Golden Pow and turning back in distance in the quick call. There have been some interesting spots. This might be the right spot from a pace standpoint. Tarantino is up next. We're going to watch Tarantino's most recent turf race, 2 starts back. This is during the Keeneland Fall Meet. He called a yielding turf course this day, and he's going to rally to finish third. The 6th place finisher would come back to win at the Fairgrounds in a $40,000 optional claimer with an 88 Beyer. Tarantino ran once in Southern California last year against fellow 3-year-olds in the off-turf Mathis Brothers Mile. I'm just going to draw a line through that race. I think he's probably a little bit better on turf at this point in his career, but he's a lightly raced 4-year-old. He has upside. This to me seems like a pretty big step up in class. I think Homer's Screen is somewhat interesting for Neil Drysdale, and I think you can make a case that he's a bit dirtied up. He was a group winner by a large margin, going a mile on turf in his native Brazil, and he's only had 2 starts in North America. One was in the Wicker, and it was off of about a 7-month layoff. He probably needed the race, and he was only beaten 2. I don't think that was a bad effort at all. Unfortunately, that preceded another long layoff, and he ran in the Daytona last time out, going down the hill at 6.5, and that was a race there was just no pace going on. Bran wired the field, and Homer's Screen just sort of ran around there. I think it was a good prep race, and he comes back on 3 weeks' notice for Drysdale. It's his second start off the layoff. He's getting back out to a mile, and I do think he has enough tactical speed, especially on the stretch out, where he can stay close if the pace is moderate. Tripoli, as I mentioned, had a very good year last year when switched to dirt by John Sadler, second in the San Diego behind Express Train, winner of the Pacific Classic, fourth in the Awesome again. Fine, he didn't fire in the Breeders' Cup Classic. He did get hurt after that race. He is returning on turf. Here's his last turf race, way back on May 1st, 2021. It's a first-level allowance race. He's very game to win. He's another horse with tactical speed. It does seem like he's a better dirt horse if he could somehow transfer his dirt form to turf. Boy, is he going to be tough. I don't want to take too short a price. However, Majestic Eagle completes this field, another horse that's been managed very well, placed in good spots by Neil Drysdale throughout his career. We'll watch his last start, the Daytona. It's a race where he runs second. It's a race where Homer's Screen runs fourth. And Majestic Eagle, again, he got wired in this race. There was no pace going on. They went 21-4 for the opening quarter, which is walking for a horse like Bran. He still is in pretty good form at the ripe old age of 7. I don't love this post position. It'll be interesting to see what kind of a trip Edwin Maldonado can pull. Before we get to my top selections, please subscribe to the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel for all the latest DRFTV video offerings. Hong Kong Harry, I think, has a lot of upside. I am concerned about the Lasix off stat for D'Amato. I am concerned that he missed a little bit of time with the quarter crack. I do like his tactical speed. I do like the way he finished off his 2 9-furlong races to kick off his North America campaign. Hong Kong Harry, I think, is going to be strong in the stretch of the Grade 3 American, and he'll be my top pick. Best of luck.